It's time to get real about real estate. Welcome to International Real Estate Radio with Macarena Rose. We explore all things international real estate. And now, your host, international real estate expert, Macarena Rose.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm your host, Macarena Rose, and welcome to International Real Estate Talk. So what do we talk about? We talk about all things international real estate and associated. And, last week we talked about the taxes and the money and how to take care of those things and how to do your offshore banking. And so this week I thought it would be important to share with you a story of someone that actually made the move and made an adventure and that gorgeous leap of faith for something different. And I find many people these days are doing it not to escape somewhere so much, but rather to go to a different quality of life and to have something, more intimate and something more value than they find wherever they are living now. And, myself included, not to be left out, my life was wonderful in St. Petersburg, Florida. And, my move to Belize was exceptional. And I find life changing because, my life just, it became like tenfold more intimate and exceptional. So value, I guess, value added. Anything we buy, we want it to have value, correct? So long story short, I had talked to this wonderful woman about her journey, and I thought it was worth sharing with you because there's people just like you that are thinking about it, but have done it. And to find out why they did it and how they did it and what that experience is for them. And then to see, several years later, is it the same or what? So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Jody to the show. Welcome to you. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you, Miss Macarena. Hello to you as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited that you joined us today with our listeners to share some of your experiences. And, you're a brave woman. And I always believe that, you throw your hat over the wall because if you don't, you always wonder what if. And you didn't do that, did you? You just threw that hat over the wall and went for it. Commending you. I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Yes, we did do that. But when you visit Belize, it's easy to do because you just fall in love with the country and the people. It's just an amazing place to be and to live.
So share with us, where were you coming from when you went to Belize?
We came from California.
Okay.
And we wanted to come to Belize because we wanted to do some bird watching initially. And when we came to the San Ignacio area first, we spent about 7 days there. And we consider that the inland area, and it's just beautiful and some incredible bird watching. And then we went to the coast and spent another week, and we found that our hearts were completely captured by the San Ignacio area, and that was it for us. So then we returned a few months later and began searching for the place that we knew would be right in our hearts.
Were you already into, birds before you came to Belize? Was this like a passion of yours?
Yes, well, we've always loved birds, and we've always felt that we were doing everything we could to help the environment. But actually, bird watching and getting into that whole environment on a more personal level really didn't come together for us until we visited Belize, and then we realized that we had found our place. And we knew that we were on a path that we should be on. And it became, we just became completely committed and motivated to make this happen. And suddenly what we saw in our mind was we needed to find a piece of property that would allow us to create our vision, to create an opportunity for people who would come and visit, whether it's our friends, family, or tourists, to come in and learn about the environment at a hands-on level and at the same time experience the local culture and the archaeological sites and really understand that we individually can make a difference to help preserve and conserve the biodiversity of the world.
Wow. You really are putting your stamp on it, aren't you? It's really interesting to me. Now, I have to ask, did you go to Belize the first time for a visit and then felt this vision, or was this a vision or a feeling you had before?
The vision came while we were in Belize. We were sitting down, my husband and I, talking over dinner, and we'd been in country about 10 days, our first time there. And we were just enchanted with everything about the people and the trip and the location. And suddenly my husband said, okay, and he took a napkin from underneath our little glass of water and started drawing a picture. And he said, this is what I see. It's an eco-lodge, and it's helping birds. We need to help rescue birds. And from there, the dream continued. We returned and started our search for just the right piece of property.
And how many years ago was that?
That started in 2004 when my husband and I first visited Belize.
So the napkin visit was in 2004, and here we're talking almost 9 years later, actually, very close to 9 years later. And what is, from that 9 years of growth and through your experiences and having done this incredible project in Belize, what do you feel about that journey? Do you feel it was still your calling?
Oh, yes. Absolutely, it was our calling. And every day it's not even like work. It's just what you do. And it's so wonderful to be able to feel like you're actually making a difference to the planet and to people. And the experience of being in Belize and participating in helping rescue birds that unfortunately many times come from the illegal bird trade, but giving them the opportunity to rebound, get healthy, get rehabilitated and released. Being part of the education and outreach to help the children and tourists learn that they can make a difference to help all animals have a safe place to live and be. And then to also work to create an eco-lodge that is certified as sustainable, which means that all parts of the business inside and out reflect the standard required to respect the environment while you're running your operation. And it's a calling, and it's part of our heart, and it's a beautiful place to be at any day of the year.
Okay, so was the eco-diversity or the biodiversity, was this also something you guys were very familiar with before you came to Belize, or is this something you learned about more through this process?
My husband was very familiar with it because his background is in the environmental work. And I always loved nature, but didn't really know how to speak the language of what I was feeling. And the more our project evolved, we started having biologists volunteer to participate with us to manage the habitat restoration area. On our 23 acres, we dedicated about 17 to let it grow back to its natural habitat, to the neotropical forest. So
you know,
as we
Miss Jody, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to stop you there because your story is full of passion and incredible experience, and that's worth sharing with people. Hold on while we take a break. You're listening to International Real Estate Talk. Welcome back, everybody, to International Real Estate Talk. And, before break, I stopped you because you were talking about the passion and how that passion took you into actually starting this incredible avian research in rehab in Belize. But, what's interesting to me is before all of that, you weren't thinking to go to Belize to do all of this, right? And yet you did it. And so what was that like? What did your friends think that you were buying property and doing this in Belize?
Well, that's a good question. And they realized also that for us it was a calling, and that we were determined because we felt that it was a path that we needed to be on. And so a lot of the questions were around how would you handle the transaction in another country, and are there real estate agents, and how do you handle ownership and all of that. And so we just worked through the details one at a time, and in the end, as the project was underway and we were able to show that previously developed land could be reused to support the conservation effort, our friends came to visit, and it's grown from there.
And so when they came to visit, did they then get it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they did. And a few of them that were in the environmental field volunteered to help us on our project because we were trying to track the regrowth on the property. So they became part of what we're doing and how the project evolved.
So if someone's like looking into investing in another country and in real estate from their own country, I find that people have all these questions, how to it and what are the title process and all of these things. I find personally that the thing that they leave out and they forget about is the emotional impact that this is going to have on them. Could you share what your emotional impact was?
Well, the emotional impact is actually for us in buying in Belize, it was a relief. It was a relief to know that there were people that could help us through this transaction that had been through it before. And it was a relief to know that if we had questions, there are government offices and offices, such as yours, that we could go to and ask how to handle the questions that would come up. And we were a little bit nervous because I certainly don't know anyone that had ever moved internationally or done this. But as nervous as we were, it all turned out fine. And part of it is just paying attention to the detail and not being afraid to ask questions. And Belize is such a beautiful place to be and peaceful that we just knew that we needed to see this through.
I find it fascinating. Not only did you come and then ended up buying property and, becoming part of actually Belize, but that you did something so fascinating that was in touch with the biodiversity and also the wildlife. The catch and release thing to be able to, or not catch and release, but the rehabilitation and the release of these birds, you've saved people's, lives and the animals' lives, because I know you even employ people on your property. So, wow, it's a really wide circle of people that you've helped and birds. Do you take any? Well, hats off to you. You're very welcome. I mean, I think it's very honorable, quite frankly. Many people move and they're like, no, I just want to sit on the beach and have cocktails all day and, throw my umbrella into my drink and that's it. But you all didn't do that. And that's very commendable, quite frankly. And you've brought so much to the community and enriched the lives of so many people that I can only imagine what that impact is on you and your life. And I can hear it in your voice that it's impacted you, which is fabulous because, before you went to Belize, I guess in 2004, you didn't have that vision, but you sure did when you got to Belize. And you said your husband even drew it on a napkin. How close was he, by the way, to the drawing on the napkin to what reality happened?
He was very close. That little drawing ended up becoming a picture that became our logo for the Eco Lodge of Casa del Caballo Blanco, a little hand sketch of a horse with a bird in the mane sort of flying free, and our lodge in the background. And that became our logo that's on the web page. And then from there, and talking about birds, he created the second logo for Casa Avian Support Alliance, which is a Belizean NGO and also a 501c3 here in the United States, so that those folks who want to donate can also take the benefit of the tax write-off as well. And so that little napkin we still have.
That is phenomenal. So it really did, that napkin spurred a whole life-changing event for you all and the people around you and the birds, obviously, that's pretty neat.
Yes.
I can see that your life is rich. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to ask about the property a little bit. How big is the property itself, the whole research and the resort part of it?
The whole property is 23 acres, of which 17 is dedicated back to habitat restoration. And then we call it two compounds. The one compound, if you will, is the Eco Lodge area that has La Sala meeting room. We have 6 guest rooms, and then we have a dining kitchen area and a caretaker home. Then the Casa compound, Casa Avian Support Alliance, is a structure that holds our medical office, and then another structure that holds the flight areas where they can rehabilitate, and then 2 additional outbuildings for some long-term non-releasables so that they can have a longer-term place to stay and build their strength. And also that people can come closer and visit with them and see them and really gain maybe more respect and understanding for their needs.
So why Belize? Is there something significant about the Belize and the birds, or, is there something significant why you chose Belize itself?
Well, we went there because for bird watching, and in particular, Belize is on the migratory path for birds, where they go back and forth throughout the year.
Oh, I never knew that. So it makes sense. It's getting cold in the North Americas, so they fly to Belize.
Yes, that's right. So they have, they summer in one place and winter in another. And Belize is on that path. And it is a real need all across, certainly Central America and across the world, to create what we call island habitats for birds and other animals as well, to have safe havens as they move along their place to either eat or migrate.
So what is an island habitat?
An island habitat could be, for example, our 17 acres. It's a little cluster of trees and area underneath that's now grown and has all kinds of flowers and fauna. And it's a safe place for a bird or an animal to hide, seek shelter, find food and rest. And then the next morning look for the next area of trees where they can fly to be safe, because some areas, unfortunately, all over the place are being destroyed so that we can build houses or, other types of things that we need. But unfortunately, that affects the trees and the habitat for our animals. So if we can create small island habitats, if you will, where they can go from place to place in safety, then that gives them the opportunity to still continue to have a life of their own.
So Casa Avian and Casa Caballo, Blanco are actual, we can call them islands in San Ignacio, Belize.
Yes, in the world of the helping the biodiversity, yes.
I really like that. And, because Casa Avian and Casa Caballo are one property, but they're so close to, they're like just a little bit over a mile away from downtown San Ignacio. They're easy to get to. So I think it's exciting to share with people if they're going to come into Belize and look at property, they can come and look at your place. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk more about this property and why this is something that people are looking at. International real estate is something to look at doing themselves. I'm your host, Macarena Rose. We're going to take a short break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And, we took that break, and I had to stop poor Miss Jo in the middle of a conversation because I think it's very important and key to understand that, you did look and buy and purchase property abroad, in international real estate, but you did it intentionally to have a quality of life for not just yourself, but the animals and the community. And it's something that we do stress to people, that when they're looking to go and move abroad or to buy something abroad, that when you do it because it's adding value to your life, that is not only an investment in your financial, but it's also an investment in your own life, which you've done for certain. And I think it's stellar. Again, congratulations. Congratulations to listening to the voice and the calling, and for moving on it. Cause a lot of people get stuck and forget to throw the hat over the wall, and you miss something when you don't follow something that you are called to do.
Yes. And that's certainly well stated for how we felt in our heart. And we just believe that we should participate in what we call ecotourism, which is kind of a buzzword right now, but it's really helps capture how we feel about it. That through having an eco lodge and through having our ex situ conservation facility, Casa, it was a way for us to raise awareness of the need to preserve and conserve the biodiversity of the Americas and of the world. And the best way I can describe it is our little statement that when we talk about Casa, we say birds are the farmers of this world. So please help us help them continue to sow their seed So without them dropping a lot of seeds, we might not have certain flowers and trees. So they are.
That's so true.
And that's what makes Belize so beautiful, that they're there to help do that.
I've never heard of that before, or anyone saying that the birds are the farmers. That's interesting. I like that. Well, I'll think about that next time I see a bird flying around that, they say it's good luck if one, bestows its offering on you. So I'll remember that next time. They're also farmers, and thank God for them. And they do help, go from the different plants. And yeah, so that does make a lot of sense, actually. So, you've learned a lot, haven't you, since 2004 about eco resorts and biodiversity?
Yes, I have. And we learned it by really getting involved in the community and reaching out to others who are also in the industry and going through certification programs to get certified as, I believe, one of the first sustainable tourism destinations in Belize. So you learn a lot about how to do it. And it's very personally, very rewarding. And Belize is just a wonderful place to be able to have that experience.
So you even have a family that lives on site, right? And handles the property and does so many things for you. I believe it's the Baldomir family, Ricky is the gentleman, correct? And that's fabulous. So how did you ever meet them?
Well, he was assisting a guide on a birding tour that we took when we went to Tikal, which is a wonderful day trip right out of Belize. It's just over in Guatemala. And when we went to Tikal for the day to do birding, Ricky happened to be there. And we got to talking. One thing led to another, and now he's like family. So he and his wife and children live on site. And then we also have another person, Miss Gracie, who's our cook, who comes in from San Ignacio, and Mr. Mingo, who I think he lives near the Guatemalan border, maybe near Secut, comes in every day and helps take care of the property.
So what a nice family that you have with everybody there, actually. How did you come up with the name, the Casa Caballo Blanco?
The name has to do with when we purchased the abandoned ranchito, there was a horse on the property. And I just fell in love with the horse. And the person who we bought the property from gave him to us. And so it was the House of the White Horse, Casa del Caballo Blanco.
I knew there was a story behind it. I just didn't know what the story was because I just knew that was too neat that you came up with, about a white horse and why. And the Casa Avian, I understand that that's something we should share with the listeners is if they wanted to reach you and ask for more information or anything or to help you or anything, come in, they can actually do programs, correct? They can come in and volunteer with you. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. We have various programs that we've established with Casa Avian Support Alliance, and they can read about them on the web page at casaavian.org. But some of the ones that we offer are to come in to be a visiting scholar, for example. We call it a VSP, Visiting Scholar Program. So for discounted rates, you stay with us, and you can either go off and do your field studies, or you can stay and do studies on our property or help with the birds. We also offered an avian clinic manager position. So we would accept resumes once a year from all over the world, choose someone, place them on our site for 1 year, and their responsibility was to run the clinic 24/7 and continue to train our team to also be the caretakers. So those are two of some of the programs. Yeah.
What a great opportunity for somebody wanting to, be on the ground and leave, like, for example, if it's really cold and they're in Canada, what a great idea to go to Belize and to actually work with the birds. Yeah, I would sign up for that, I would do that. I'd have to learn a lot, but it sounds obviously you can learn it because you certainly did.
Yes, you can. You can learn. You can shadow the clinic manager, but most of the clinic managers come with a certain level of experience handling wildlife and doing wildlife rehab. So then they come into the position already knowing quite a bit, so then they can help our little facility grow and foster those coming behind them. And we work closely with the Belize Forest Department, so all of this is done in conjunction with existing policies that already encourage conservation within Belize.
What do you recommend to people when they're looking to work with the government on a project or something like this? Did you have any issues with that, or did you find the right people, or?
Well, what I recommend is that you find a contact person and begin either telephone call or email, and then each opportunity, if you're going back and forth into the country or if you're able to stay there, then try to establish a routine meeting to create agenda items and get the task done. So the more that you can learn about the people involved within the government entity and those decision makers, the better opportunity that you'll have to get your project through to fruition.
Now, do you have, this is going to be an interesting question, do you have a feeling or something you can share with us as far as to open and start this in Belize and do what you have done? How easy would that have been to do the same thing in California?
Oh, this is just my opinion. I think that it would be very difficult to do in, for example, California for a lot of different reasons. There are many regulatory agencies and entities and licensing entities that you'd have to go through. And I think it would be difficult to get facilities such as ours certified here. And I think that in Belize in particular, there's such a need for people to come in and help the birds, because there just aren't that many people in Belize that are able to provide the resource to help the animals. And for us, it's the avian species. So it's more complicated, and I don't even know how well or easily it could be achieved in California. But the focus in Belize is on the environment. The country cares about their environment, and they are, in my opinion, more open to ideas that would help encourage the conservation.
So if someone's sitting on that fence and they're looking at going, yeah, but I can't do that, or I can't, do a business, or I can't just move, what would you recommend for them to do? I mean, is it something that you started a business in Belize, for goodness sakes, and did it? So who better to ask?
I say follow your heart, and you can do it, and you can make it happen. And there's great rewards for just get out there and you try and follow your heart and your passion. And there are organizations that you can turn to help you, to help define your path, and to help you with questions and answers. And it's very, very rewarding. And when we're in Belize, my heart's in Belize, and it's broken, and I don't want to come back to California. Then when I'm in California, my heart gets stuck here. And so talk about the fence that you're talking about. Choose the side and get over there and do it. It's unbelievable. Truly, truly unbelievable.
I like that. You are a woman of passion, and you know how to follow it and to live your life in what I call fully present. And it's an honorable thing, but it's a very life-changing thing, and I can see that it's made a difference in your life. How fabulous. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk to you about something on this property. I'm your host, Macarena Rose. You're listening to International Real Estate Talk. Welcome back to International Real Estate Talk, and we are talking with Miss Jody today about her leap of faith and purchase into international real estate in 2004 in Belize. So before we went to commercial break, I said that, when we come back, I wanted to ask you some questions that had to do with the property. And the reason is that this is something that I feel, in my opinion, was a calling for you, and that you were to be the stewards of this. Do you have that feeling?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's a good description. It was our absolute sense that we were not going to change course. We needed to do this.
Interesting, and you did it. So again, that's what takes power. And they truly say that which makes you uncomfortable actually gives you the greatest opportunity for growth. And it has been a growth process. It sounds like, for sure. Was it scary for you?
Yes, it was a little scary because it was new for us to have this vision of a business that was good for the earth, and also at the same time we wanted to establish something that helped birds and make it a nonprofit. So it was scary doing all of this. So we called it, we had to still keep our day job while we were developing our dream job and our dream life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's truly been what we were supposed to be doing, and it's been a very, very good experience for us.
So this brings me to some of the reasons that, I wanted to lay this groundwork, was that this is a very special situation of a property and a reserve and a rehabilitation center that you and your husband, given birth to. And so the most important thing would be to be able to make sure you pass that baton correctly and intentionally. And I understand that because, I invented the prop-up pillow, which is a medical device that actually helps save people's lives. And I didn't want to just sell the company, or I wanted it to go to the right person when I was moving to Belize, and I found that right person. So, it was important to me to make sure that it was paid forward and intentionally carried forward. So you're now decided to look for that person. And how is that for you? Who would be the right person to carry your baton forward and continue this project?
That's a very good question, and is someone with the passion and the heart that wants to participate in helping preserve and conserve the biodiversity on different levels and be part of a community that cares very much about learning how they too can improve their involvement with the environment at the grassroots level in the villages right there around San Ignacio. And so it would be someone that both wants to learn or maybe already knows about the tourism, the ecotourism part, and also wants to participate in giving back both to the community, the environment, and the people that visit with us. So operating a business on one hand and operating a nonprofit on the other. And it provides an avenue to teach, to raise awareness all the time through communication, whether you're talking or emailing with someone, or at the local fairs. We went to the Ag Fair and had a booth and had some of the kids color in some pictures of birds, and then we drew out at the end of the day and somebody won a prize. And it just gives you such a chance to make a difference in your life. And so that's the kind of person that can pick this up and take it to the next level.
Well, obviously I'm thinking because, you all learned all of this as far as the birds and, your husband had the biodiversity, but you've learned so much about this and an eco resort, how to actually run that and have it sustainable and everything. So it can be learned, and you obviously did it. You just have to have one thing, passion.
Yes, you're right. And, the organization that we worked with, people may be familiar with the name Rainforest Alliance. The little green frog that you see on many products that says certified.
Yes.
That is an organization that we work closely with through their ally called Alianza Verde in Guatemala to help teach us the basic elements of managing the property so it's sustainable and friendly to the environment.
Well, it's nice to know that there's alliances and foundations out there that are helping each other. And because they knew the intention of what you were doing too, it would make sense that they would want to help.
Yes.
It does. Okay. So this property, if someone's looking at, doing avian research and rehabilitation and education, not only because it has the Eco Lodge and it has its own dining facilities and has all these, things that has the main building and homes, it also has the family intact to help continue and help educate and teach the new owners how to take care of that, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And Ricky and his family, they're Belizean. And Ricky's been a tour guide for 20 plus years. He's one of the top birders in the country. So living on our property, being the in-country director of the nonprofit as well, gave him the opportunity to switch directions. Instead of being behind a binocular watching a bird, he has the bird in his hand. So it's changed his whole life philosophy. Yeah. So they live there and they take care of it every day and they love it.
Wow. How phenomenal of a life-changing event for him also. And his family that they get to live on this property. It is a magnificent property. I've been there. I obviously know the property. You have 360-degree views. You can see San Ignacio. You can see the Calpech. You know, the ruins are right up on the largest, most predominant hill that you can see. And it is a beautiful location. That is correct. How does it feel for you to be passing this baton on to the right person?
It feels right, because I know when it's the right person, I know it will feel right. And we'll be able to help any way that we can, you know, through the transition as well, and provide input and advice and share stories all along the way. And we really, truly, truly love everything about what we've done, where we're located, in particularly as you described. It's very peaceful and it's very quiet, and it's just not like any place that I've really ever been. And I feel very good to know that whoever can then take this to the next level will understand that passion.
Well, it is primed to be expanded because there's lots of area for growth on the property also, which is phenomenal. And the fact that you've done, 6 acres of developed, there's 23 acres total. So there's more room to do some of, the expansion with keeping everything intentional. You actually did like the thatch roofings, which are gorgeous, but, it does absolutely blend in with the whole environment.
Yes, and that was our goal, to try to do minimal disruption to the existing environment that was within the 23 acres, and we wanted to show, really a showcase, if you would, that you could take previously property that had been used for cattle or for farming and let it rebound. And because of the kind of weather conditions that are in Belize, things grow quickly there.
They do.
Unlike here in the States, where things can take quite a while to grow, it doesn't take that long in Belize. So you can begin to get your second growth forest, neotropical trees back in a very short amount of time. And the ground disturbance that we did were just for the guest rooms. Everything else was there. There was an abandoned pigsty. That became a medical office. A second abandoned pigsty became the flight cages. The kitchen dining was actually a church that we, the word's desanctioned, but we then took all the different parts of it and we donated the siding and the nails and the lumber to another church outside of San Ignacio, and then converted it to a dining kitchen area. So there are a lot of things on the property that were, as you described, done with intention, and we've also tried to keep track of all the things that we've done as the property's been developed, so that there's a good story for anyone who then comes after us.
So if anybody wants to go to the website, they can go to Casa Caballo Blanco.com and the casaavian.org, and both of those sites can explain more about the property. And if they want to reach the real estate company, they can go to rainforestrealty@gmail.com or rainforestrealty.net. And if they have questions, obviously we can get questions to you, right? You don't mind that, right?
No, I don't mind that at all.
I don't want you being inundated with a bunch of questions and things like that. I mean, if the real estate questions, they should speak to the real estate person. But obviously, I do think that the intention that you did to set, the way you set this up, the intention is there for someone to take this and move forward with it, especially as far as the avian part, because, it is it's a very eco-diverse resort and lodge, but to lose the part about the birds, it won't be the same. I bet you wouldn't even let someone do that. You'd want them to follow through with it, because you are really making a difference with the birds in Belize, which obviously, if they're on the migratory path, that means Belize birds are just taken care of. It's birds all over the world that come through your path. Yes,
absolutely true that you're helping the world when you help birds. Yes.
That's fascinating to me. I never knew that Belize actually, the migratory path was through the San Ignacio area. It's very fascinating to me. I'm going to look at the birds differently in Belize. I'm going to be like, oh, did you come from Connecticut?
Oh, that's right. You might see some cardinals as well around there, especially I know around Tikal and Guatemala. You'll see a lot of cardinals, and they're coming out of the states.
Well, I don't blame them, because if they're in the North Americas, in the northern part, of the states, wow, it's cold right now. And Canada, burr. So yeah, let them come to Belize and thaw out and get taken care of. And so you did say that it's a 501c3. So again, if anybody wants to help donate or have any questions on how do they come in and be a student or a director for a short period of time or a year term, they can contact you at casaavian.org. Miss Jody, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It is an honor to have you on our show and for you to share your story of your international real estate success.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the time today, Macarena.
Absolutely. You have a fabulous day. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today. You're listening to International Real Estate Talk.